Hey everyone, it's Carolyn. Welcome to the channel. Today I have another video for you and I'm going to be explaining the bad tarot cards. So what do I mean when I say bad tarot cards? These are the cards in tarot that people think are intimidating, are scary, and have a negative meaning. So the bad tarot cards kind of fall into different categories depending what card it is. So I'm going to break that down for you and I'm going to explain why these bad tarot cards are not actually bad. If you're new to the channel, I want to say welcome. Please subscribe. I would love to have you a part of this family and make more fun videos like this to help you understand tarot a little bit better. And I also post readings, so I do collective readings, zodiac readings, and pick a pile readings. So make sure you turn on that bell notification so you don't miss out when I post my next video. So a lot of these bad tarot cards is the reason why people think that tarot is scary and thinks it's going to tell them things that they don't want to know. The thing about tarot is it's just like life. There's not really a good or bad category. There's a lot of gray area when it comes to it. And so when you look at the different tarot cards, a lot of times they're not indicating this big negative meaning if that's not what your message is about. And when it comes to tarot, if there is a negative message, the positive cards can also deliver that negative message. There's not really like good or bad cards. Everything is just simply a part of life. Tarot just represents different facets of life. And so while something might not be the most positive, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad. So breaking these cards down into their categories, you have the worst of the bad cards. And these are the cards that even people outside of tarot readers, they know about these cards and they're afraid of these cards. If someone's going to get a tarot reading, a lot of times they're afraid to see these cards appear in their readings because of the connotations that these cards carry. So I would break this down into the Tower, the Death card, the Devil, and then the 3, 7, and 9 of Swords. So I think the Death card is kind of obvious why it's in this category. Death is a scary concept to a lot of people, and so when they see it in a tarot card, they think that it's representing someone's actual death. They think that it means like this ending, something that they don't want to lose is going to be taken from them. And so it brings up a lot of grief-based emotions. Now, I'm not going to say the Death card never can be taken literally, but majority of the time, it doesn't mean someone is actually going to die. It doesn't mean that you're going to die. It's more representing a change or shift in your current life as you know it. But it doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad shift. Sometimes change is good. Sometimes change is needed. And so the Death card, yes, there's moments in readings where you might want to fear it, but just automatically whenever it appears is not something you need to be afraid of. And then you have the Devil card. So the Devil card is a little bit scary because it represents this feeling of being trapped. It represents this energy of manipulation, sometimes dealing with a narcissist even is what it's pointing out. And so a lot of people are afraid when the Devil appears because it means that either the person they're asking about is untrustworthy, or it's representing that there's a situation going on in their life in which they have no control over, and it's telling them that there's something going on behind the scenes, someone is pulling the strings, and therefore the situation's out of their hands. And so it brings this feeling of being trapped and stuck in a situation that you have no control over. But the Devil card is one that really needs to be looked at with the context of the other cards, because the Devil cards can sometimes just represent that someone is attractive, and so it's not representing their hidden motivations. It's just going off their physical looks, but it also can be used as a way to show you that you are stuck in a situation that you have not realized, but then with the other cards surrounding it, they're telling you how to break free of it. And then when the Devil card is reversed, this also represents an energy of liberation, of breaking free, of finding your way out. Because if you look at the image on the Devil card, the people are trapped because they are refusing to leave. The chains on them are not actually binding them all that tightly, and so they could remove them. And so the Devil, yes, it sounds scary because it's associated with the devil, but the card in tarot is representing trapping yourself in a situation because you are not seeing the way out, because you are not looking for a way out. It means that you're stuck in something because you haven't looked at all your options. It's not saying that you're stuck there indefinitely. It's not saying that this is going to go on forever and you better get used to it. This is giving you guidance into your life, saying this situation has other things going on that are involved in it that you might not be aware of, or there's something that's keeping you tied down to it that you need to allow yourself to realize in order to actually move away from and break free. And so the Devil card is not something to be afraid of. It's actually trying to bring your awareness to a situation that you're currently unaware of. So then you have the 3 of Swords, and this card is definitely a little bit harder to find the silver lining for. This card is typically depicted as a heart with swords going through it. So this heart is literally being stabbed. So this makes sense why it's seen as a bad card by many, and it's seen as a scary card, especially when it appears in love readings, because this is kind of seen as the heartbreak card, the breakup card. And so yes, it's a card that represents grief. It represents heartbreak, but that's not always a bad thing, especially with the cards that are surrounding it. Sometimes it means this process of grief is over. You've spent your time mourning and now you're beginning to heal. It can also represent that you've been stuck in a situation that's not good for you, that's been breaking your own heart, and you need to accept it in order to finally move on. So then the Seven of Swords is the next scary card. And this is seen as scary because it represents an energy of betrayal, of someone doing things behind your back and someone being shady. And so it represents a lot of deception and a lot of lies, a lot of manipulation. And so what I would say to this card, if it scares you, is yes, this situation is scary. Yes, this isn't fun to hear. No one wants to hear that there's something shady going on behind their back. But this card's bringing it to your attention. It's bringing it to your awareness, and then you can do something about it. While this is going on behind your back, you have no control over the matter. You have no awareness that it's going on, and therefore you can't protect yourself. You can't prevent anything. When this card appears in your message, it's not meant to scare you. It's meant to warn you. It's meant to give you the power to actually do something about it. And so yes, this card might be a little bit scary, but it's telling you the truth so that then you can take that power, then you can do something about it. This card isn't appearing saying, well, this is going on and I guess you're stuck. I guess there's nothing you can do. This card is coming to you to give you a message on, hey, this is going on. Your suspicions are confirmed. Or if you didn't have suspicions, this has actually been going on. Now pay attention to it. Now that you know it. Now you understand the situation. Now you can do something about it. And so yes, this isn't a fun message, but it's not scary because it's not telling you there's nothing you can do. This card's actually coming to you to give you the power to do something. And then there's the Nine of Swords. And this is seen as a scary card because it's representing fears, it's representing doubt, anxiety, worry. And so because it's representing all these negative emotions that we associate as things we don't want to feel, it's seen as a scary card when it appears in your readings because a lot of people think that it's indicating there's something to worry about. But in reality, this card is actually the least scary of all the tarot cards because it's not representing that there's something you need to be concerned about. It's representing there's something you are concerned about. It's just reflecting your own inner emotions back at you. It's showing you how you truly feel about a situation. It's not saying you need to feel this way. It's not indicating anything about this situation. It's simply reflecting how you currently feel or what you're going to be feeling in the future. But that all comes down to you because it's a reflection of you. This is not something to be afraid of because it's not indicating anything that's good or bad. It's simply indicating yourself. And so this means you have control over that outcome. If there's something that you really don't want to be stressing over, you have the ability to find ways to cope. You have the ability to try and make it where that's not your future anymore. But it's not saying that you need to be afraid of this. It's not appearing as a warning. It's simply just mirroring you. And so that's why this card is really not intimidating at all. It's not scary because it doesn't mean anything one way or the other. Then you have the tarot cards that are considered bad, and they're not as bad as these cards that came before them. These are more the cards that are considered bad for tarot readers, less mainstream media, and more when they appear in tarot readings, tarot readers are like, really? Or they're cards that make us feel called out. These are cards where it's like they're not bad, but they're not fun when you get them in a reading because it's kind of like they're calling you out. It's kind of like that friend who's brutally honest. You love the cards, but you hate them for what they're doing. So the cards in this category are the 5, 8, and 10 of Swords, the 5 and 9 of Wands, 5 and 7 of Cups, and the 5 of Pentacles. So if you noticed in each of the suits that I mentioned number 5, and that's because 5 in tarot represents the conflict. And a lot of times when we're reading tarot, we don't want to see conflict. And so seeing the 5s appear in readings can be scary. But the thing about each of the 5s is that they all have a little bit of a positive meaning because there's a silver lining to all of the conflict going on around them. So taking the 5 of Wands, this represents an energy that is fights, tension, conflict of the extreme, of arguments, and having that passion between you. And so when we look at this card, it can seem very scary because no one wants to have arguments with people, especially those we care about. But sometimes we need an argument in order to stand up for ourselves, in order to stand in our power and allow us to say what's truly on our mind and get things off our chest. Sometimes having an argument is the first step to finding a solution. And then the 5 of Swords, again, represents conflict. It represents where people can't agree and there's a disagreement going on. But the thing about the 5 of Swords, it inherently is beneficial to whoever is getting the reading or whoever is shown to get the victory in the reading, because the 5 of Swords always represents victory. It always represents success in your endeavor. It means that you're going to have a disagreement with someone and you're going to be the victor. But the thing about victory is that sometimes like you can win the argument, you can win the issue, whatever is going on, but that doesn't mean that it's a good thing that you won. Sometimes it's like you win, but at what cost? And that's what this card really represents. But if you're just focused on being right, if you're just focused on getting one over someone else, this is a great card for you because it indicates success with doing so. It's kind of a double-edged sword when it comes to the 5 of Swords because it represents this energy of having things go your way, working out how you wanted them to, but kind of having to sacrifice stuff along the way to get there. And so this doesn't have to be a scary card. This is just showing you that you are being very stubborn at this point. And if you continue to double down on your stubbornness, you're going to end up with what you wanted, but you might lose something along the way. But this is something that you can change. So it's either acting as a warning, or it's showing you that you're going to be okay and get what you want. Now the Five of Pentacles represents loss. It represents this opportunity that is no longer yours, or it represents things slipping out of your grasp. But a positive of this card is that it makes us vulnerable. It makes us rely on others and be dependable and learn how to rely on others better. And so even though you are losing something, it doesn't mean that everything is ruined. It just means that this thing that was perfect and shiny no longer looks this way. And so it doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't always mean you're losing out on everything. It just means the things that you were working on need to be readapted. They need to be rethought out. And then the Five of Cups, this literally talks about looking at what's in front of you, being upset at what has gone wrong, and soaking in this energy. But then behind you, you have things actually working out. And so this card is representing what's in front of you might not work out, but there's ways to pick yourself back up. There's a way to move forward. So this card in itself, while it seems scary, is actually one of the most uplifting cards out of the five, because it literally shows in it that there is something behind you. There is something to have hope for. There's something to set your sights on. And so there's a silver lining to this card in its imagery itself. Now the Eight of Swords too can be very scary. It's a card that looks like you're a victim, you're powerless, you're stuck, you're tied up, you're confused, you don't know what to do. But kind of like the Nine of Swords, the Eight of Swords is just a reflection of your mindset. The Eight of Swords is not saying that you are trapped. A lot of the sword suit is representing your mindset. And so it's reflecting your way of thinking. If it's something for the future, now you're aware of it, now you can change your mindset and change your future. And if it's something present, it's not saying, oh, you are a victim. It's not saying, oh, you are stuck like this. It's saying you're feeling this way. And now you can take the proper steps to start to feel better, to start to allow yourself to take that blindfold off, because you're the one who's holding it onto yourself, and allow yourself to see reality and work with what you got in order to change things for the better. And then there's the Ten of Swords, and this card can seem very scary because if you looked, it's someone who's been defeated, they're stabbed in the back, they've been betrayed, they've been walked over. But the silver lining of the Ten of Swords is that you're able to pick yourself back up from this. It's saying, okay, you got defeated, you got burnt out, you had things happen to you that were outside your control, maybe it was in your control even, but now you're defeated, you're on the floor. And so now the only way to go is up. And so the Ten of Swords doesn't need to be scary because it's telling you there's a way to stand back up. There's a way to get back on your feet and continue moving. Allow yourself to learn from this, take it as guidance, take it as wisdom. Don't stay down, don't stay knocked down, don't let people defeat you, don't let them continue to walk over you. When someone knocks you down, you find a way to get back up. And so it's actually a very inspirational card. It's a card that's meant to be hopeful. It's a card that's meant to inspire, because you're starting the sword suit again. The 10 is the ending of the suit, but it then goes into the ace again and the cycle repeats. So then moving along into the wand suit, you have the Nine of Wands, and this card is one that looks scary because even the image on it itself, the person looks like they've been beat up. And so it represents this energy that can be quite scary, of challenges, of facing these problems that is going to overwhelm us, that is going to defeat us. But the thing about the Nine of Wands is that it's showing this persistence and this perseverance in order to overcome these challenges. Yes, it's a card that's indicating challenges, but it's also a card that represents strength and willpower to overcome them, to resist them, to fight them. And so it's a card indicating your own strength to overcome whatever is thrown your way. Yes, it might beat you up a little bit, but you're going to end up standing victorious because you're continuing to fight. You're continuing to push for what you want. So the Seven of Cups is seen as a scary card because it represents this energy of indecision, of choices, of options, and being overwhelmed because you don't know which one to make, and you have some really good options, but you also have some scary options. And so the thing about this card is that yes, it's scary because it kind of represents the unknown. It represents confusion and illusion of things. But because it represents illusions, it also represents imagination. And so just because it represents some scary things with imagination, it also represents good things when it comes to illusions. And so this card is simply working as a delivery system to show you the good or the bad. It's not showing you which one it is. And so it's kind of seen as this ominous card because it's frustrating when you get it because there's not really a clear answer to it. But this card in itself doesn't need to be scary because it's simply an unknown. And so that's the thing. When it comes to tarot and the bad tarot cards, none of them are truly bad. They're all nuanced. They all have multiple meanings between good and bad. Just like life, there's nuance to situations and there's nothing that is exactly black and white. And that's what's going on with tarot. Yes, there's negative meanings, but there's also silver linings to all of them. And so the messages work in tandem together. And it's not just about the cards individually. It's also about all the cards working in tandem for the overall message. You can have a lot of bad tarot cards, but paired with the right cards, you're going to see the nuance of the situation and it's going to be a positive message. And vice versa. You can have only one bad card and the rest can all be positive cards, but yet the message is not super optimistic because the two aren't exclusive. There's no good or bad tarot cards. There's no positive or negative. It's about looking at the situation as a whole and looking within the story that the tarot cards are showing you to determine what is good or bad. So don't be afraid if you get these bad tarot cards in a reading. It doesn't mean you're cursed. It doesn't mean something truly bad is going to happen. You have to take it as a reading as a whole and understand the message once it's all tied together. Don't just take it at face value. And so it's also important that if you're getting a tarot reading and you see a card that scares you, don't take that out of its context. Don't try and run with saying that it's a bad message or a bad omen and that the tarot reader didn't read it properly. You have to really look at the full picture in order to understand what that card means for you. So look at it in the context of things when you're doing readings for yourself. And understand that everything's nuanced. Nothing is truly bad, nothing is truly good when it comes to tarot. Everything's in between. That's why it's called arcana, because arcana means a mystery. And so that's the thing about tarot. It's a little bit of a mystery. It's all nuanced. And so the messages interact with one another and it's all changing depending on everything added together and the positions of the cards and the other context of the cards you have in order to determine if the message is the positive or negative meaning of the card. And so if you're someone where you're wanting to learn reversals, I would highly recommend the Tarot Deck of Oppositions. That one is really good at showing you the positive and the negatives of each card without showing it as black or white or one or the other, and showing how they work in tandem with one another. So I hope you found this video helpful and that it helped you break down the bad tarot cards and destigmatize them a little bit. I know it can be a little bit intimidating when you're new to tarot, or even if you're someone where you got a tarot reading and you've been freaking out over a card. Everything needs context to one another, and so I hope that I explained this good for you and you can see the silver lining of all the cards no matter how negative they are. And so if you did like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share with others who need to hear this message. If you're not already, please subscribe. I would love to have you a part of this family, and make sure you turn on that bell notification so you don't miss out when I post my next video. I post new videos every single week, and I'm going to have other videos from the cards I bought for you to watch next. I can't wait to see you all in my next video. I hope you have a good one. Bye!